Hello, and welcome to reCappin with Delora
and Ashley.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at reCappin Podcast.
Also, rate, review, and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the things.
We want to hear your thoughts on the movies and shows we review.
Leave us a comment on Apple Podcasts or our YouTube channel, and we will read them during the show.
Or reach out to us on social media. We love talking all things entertainment and pop culture with you.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you. Ashley, the time has come again for us to recap a Tyler Perry film.
Yeah.
We are recapping today, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary people, Divorce in the Black. It is a 2-hour, 23-minute drama, rated R. It was released July 11th. Here's a summary. Ava's husband, Dallas, leaves her heartbroken as he deserts their marriage. Dallas' malicious actions unravel as Ava gets a chance to find true love with her destined soulmate. Cast: Megan Good, Ben Good is Ava. Corey Hardrick is Dallas. Jason Lee Anderson plays Benji. Taylor Williams as Rona. Shannon Wallace as Jim. Richard Lawson as Clarence. And legendary Debbie Morgan as Jean. This movie is directed, written, and produced by Tyler Perry. Ashley, Rotten Tomatoes, the critics gave this film 0%. I repeat, 0%. The audience score is 70%, and Google users gave this film 53%. Ashley, what is your grade for Divorce in the Black?
I'm with the critics for once because I could barely sit through this film. I started it and I was like, oh my God, what have we done? What have we done? This
Truly
is the most outrageous opening to a Tyler Perry movie I'd ever seen in my life. And it
to a film, period.
It just progressively was hard to watch and sit through. So much so that I did not finish it on my first watch. I said, nah, I got to come on back to this later. And it was only when I was joined by another person that I push on through just for the sake of this recap. But this was a terrible movie.
This was so rough. I decided not to rate this movie. I think that's what the critics ultimately did, right? They were like, you know what? We're just not gonna, the parameters or the metrics that we have are just not, we're not gonna put this up against anything. Ashley, let's go ahead and get into the spoiler alert, because I have more questions than actual recap here. And I'm gonna go ahead and say spoiler alert. It's so funny that you said what you said, because my first question is, what's the most memorable movie opening you've ever witnessed?
Now it's this one, for damn sure. But before this, I don't know. I can't think of anything that gave me this much of like a shock or like disgust or like there's no like, you know, when you're getting into a movie, you expect to be getting background, context.
Yes.
Getting to know characters, getting a chance to live in their skin a little bit, understand the dynamics. This was absolutely fucking absurd.
When I saw this the first time, Ashley, I was like, oh my goodness. What?
It's low-key traumatic. I would have been under the pew if someone had dragged a dead body out of a casket in front of me. I would have been under the pew.
Wait. But before that, Dallas mama started shipping.
I thought she was about to fight. That's what I thought was about to go down. I didn't know what this lady was doing.
I don't even know where to begin. Okay, it opens up to a funeral scene. We are in the country in a small little white church. Clarence, played by the legendary Richard Lawson, is giving the sermon. And it made me wonder, and Ashley, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you believe in the saying, don't speak ill of the dead?
I wouldn't say I believe that, but I damn sure don't think the person who's delivering like the sermon and eulogy should be talking shit about the person at the service. I did not agree with that whatsoever.
I was like, well, Mr. Clarence didn't. And during Dallas's brother's funeral, he was talking in front of his family, talking about this man is going to hell.
Just don't even preside over the service. Like that's so insensitive. I know again that the circumstances were such where it sounds like the young man died in the process of trying to harm one of the church members. In that case, don't even preside over the service.
What I thought was interesting was Dallas apparently was promised by Ava that her father would have a positive service, but he definitely did not do that. Yeah, that whole dynamic really did set the scene for the outrageousness of the film, Ashley. I literally, after watching the funeral scene, and as you mentioned, the mom insisted that Dallas and his brothers take his brother out of the coffin because they felt as though Ava's parents, the pastors of the church, felt like they had the upper hand because they paid for it. And she was like, you know what? I owe you nothing, including these clothes, and get this body out of the casket. I was like, this is like a razor blade tad higher than a Tubi film. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was awful.
The
Yeah.
only difference is Tyler Perry is able to get stars
Mm-hmm.
to be in his movie.
Mm-hmm. Because he doesn't spend money on anything but their salaries, apparently.
But it's like, it makes you wonder. So, a couple of things, because I can go in multiple directions. One, you always hear the stars talk about the only time they got paid more or what they are worth was working with Tyler Perry, right? But do you ever feel like working on Tyler Perry's films are detrimental to their career, or do you feel like it's just a simple detour?
I couldn't say I feel like it's detrimental because no one's gonna look at this and be like, "Oh, Megan Good can't act." Nobody's gonna look at the last one with Kelly Rowland and say, first of all, she was fabulous.
She
Wardrobe, hair,
was.
everything fabulous.
That's
Okay.
the one thing I will give Tyler Perry in recent years, especially with the black actresses, the stars. Their makeup and wigs are on
Do
point.
not give Tyler Perry credit for that. I don't think he has shit to
No,
do
I
with
think
that.
it's their team because
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed this, but Kelly produced her film and
And
Megan
Megan
produced
produced this
this
one.
one.
Yes,
Yes.
baby. That's them bringing in their teams. And don't give Tyler Perry not a drop of credit for that.
Iota.
No, ma'am. Because we know if it was up to him, he'd pull out them dusty ass wigs that he's turned many a beautiful man looking crazy wearing in his films. So what I think it is, I think he skimps on everything else except salary for his stars. I think he skimps on production budget. I think he skimps on hair and wardrobe. I think he skimps on everything and then gives them these nice checks so that he can lure the stars, which good for you. We clearly still watch them when they come out because we support some of us. Some people do
Yes.
not fuck with Tyler
Some of.
Perry. Some of us
Yeah.
still support him in that way and want to see his projects. Again, the last one, Mia Culpa, I enjoyed.
It was a solid
I can sit
film.
and watch that. This
Yes.
is pure foolishness in my mind. Like my thing too is this scene would not be as crazy and jarring if it came at a pivotal moment in the climax of the film. Had we started the film with getting to know the dynamic between Megan Good and Corey Hardick's characters and understanding the dynamic with his family and how his mama
Yes.
is toxic, his brothers, and then this was like the peak. This would have been great. This would have been like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my,
Right.
it would have made sense. It would have been so good in this way, the way that the movie starts, it just feels like, to your point, it's like Tubi or something where it's almost reality TV and you're just going for the shock and awe without any
Yes.
real reason or plot or narrative driving this decision. That's what I don't like. It's like you just brought us in this just to start the movie off in such a psychotic way you think it's going to keep us
The
there.
shock value of it all. And what's also fascinating is, we have Tyler Perry. This is his first project with Amazon Prime Video. And he keeps getting these deals from everywhere from BET Plus to Netflix to, OWN started it off, right? And I just find it to be fascinating that he's like, yep, this is the film I'm promoting. And what's also kind of mind-blowing for me, Ashley, is the stars of these films are getting legit press runs. They are going on the Today Show, GMA, the night shows. And that's where I'm like, I know they're actors, so maybe they're like, I got paid, so we just gonna make this work or whatever. But you got people like Corey, who's like, this is the first time he felt like someone gave him props for his craft.
I'm sorry. I laughed because I thought he was such a terrible pick for this role when I watched this movie.
How so? I hated him. So I thought he did his role well.
Perhaps it's because I've seen him too long outside of his acting bag that seeing him play this type of character, I could not take him seriously. Like in the scenes where he's like, you think I'm scared of you, bitch? Cracking up. Like, what? Bro, stop. Like, stop right now. You don't even sound right.
I almost fainted.
You don't even sound right, Corey. Like, stop it. So, like, no, I personally could not take him seriously in this character whatsoever. I'm sorry. I thought not that he did terrible, but that it was a terrible casting because I just could not, like, I know he played in the one movie with him, Keke Palmer was his sister. Quincy was the boyfriend and Corey was like a drug dealer, but he was a drug dealer, but he still was like, you enjoyed his character. Whereas this, it just is so far and beyond any version of him that I can imagine. And I just don't think it suited him as an actor, if I'm honest. Girl, when I tell you I was cracking up every time something, bitch. Shut up. Shut up. Stop.
Oh my gosh. That scene in particular when he said he wanted a divorce.
Girl, I just couldn't, like, I literally could not take him serious. That's another factor. Like Megan Good, I was like, yeah, Megan Good, first of all, in her relationship with Jonathan Majors, I was like, I can believe she was staying this toxic shit, right?
The fact that Corey, she kept running after this man, I just, oh my gosh. Do you think the Duke and Duchess of Sussex watch his movies? This is they baby's godfather.
No. I don't think they may not have watched. They may have skipped this one. Again, the majority of Tyler Perry's films I can watch, and even if I don't love them, I will find enjoyment in them in some capacity. This is the first, probably, to be honest, that I'm like, this is shit. I will never watch this movie ever again.
Oh, Ashley, when I said we should do this film, I knew people would be talking about it. But I had no idea it was so bad. It's so bad.
It's bad. Even the shots that I was like, oh, this is supposed to be a beautiful scene. Like where they're out on the truck and they're in the middle. And then you have them looking away from the camera. I'm like, what type of bullshit scene is this?
Well, see, it took me the second time to watch it for this recap. I think they were listening to the song because you remember he was like, we need to listen to a Chris Staples. Oh, he said he used to listen to Chris Stapleton and drink whiskey during his divorce. So I thought the same thing.
But you have to be honest, it felt like a music video scene versus something in a film.
It sure did.
Like they both were looking all pensive and ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. I'm right there with you. And the other part that had me cackling to myself is, what was Jonathan Majors thinking? Because, the best of it all, he is an excellent actor, right? Like, he's an actor. He went to Yale. Like, what was he thinking sitting through that premiere? You know what I mean?
I have no idea because I think sometimes like Hollywood and actors and stuff, they're removed from the realities of like our perspective. So he may not like he may have watched him like, oh, this ain't the best, but he's looking at her, right? He's looking at, oh, my
Probably.
girl did a good job. You know, she got this paycheck. She feels good about it. So, whatever. Whereas for us, it's like we ain't got no attachments to these people. This movie is shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's just I think it's just different.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's get back to the recap of the actual film. It's major melodrama, okay? Like everything is what it is times 100. You know what I mean? So the bad people are really bad and the good people are yelling. Um they drag his brother out of that church. We already sense that something's wrong between the couple. We understand when she follows this man to his family's trailer that he felt betrayed by her and her promise that her father would speak, positively on his brother's death, and that didn't happen. It was so funny because she was reminiscing about prom and talking about how he was so mean to her. I was like, was he ever good to her?
Right.
Like,
Exactly. Even in high school, he was bullying her to a certain extent.
and the way she was giggling, like, you were so mean. Like, since you don't marry him,
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
marry him.
Yeah.
But of course he's gonna do his own thing. He goes to the bar. She runs into her long lost high school friend who obviously loves her, Benji. But then you find out that him and his brothers beat him up. I was like, I understand Benji is supposed to be the guy or whatever, but in my personal opinion, he should be nowhere near her if she's hanging around a bunch of hooligans that beat his ass previously for talking to her.
I was thinking like, so you and Dallas were broken up. You popped out with this other man. They dragged him out of the car and beat him, and you still went back to Dallas.
Girl,
Okay. That's a choice.
Ashley, I'm not gonna lie. I had a hard time feeling sorry for her.
Mm.
I was like, I don't feel sorry for her because she knew who she married at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think I still felt sorry for the fact that you lose yourself, right? Like, and I think a lot of people do in the course of like love and relationships and become a shell or a shadow of who they once were. And that made me sad for the life that she could have been living, the person she could be, that she
Mhm.
was allowing to be snuffed out. I always think back to that scene in Titanic where Jack tells Rose, you have this fire in you. And sooner or later, if you keep down this path, that fire is going to go out. And so that's what I
Mm,
think about with these types of situations where it's like you had something in you, and because of circumstances in your relationship, you're not who you once were and who you could be. And I think that's the case with this character. So I felt bad in that respect. But for sure,
mm.
she unfortunately helped to enable Dallas to be the terrible person that
Yes,
he was. I mean, his family
exactly.
wasn't going to hold him accountable, and she really didn't hold him accountable either.
I really have here, Ashley. I'm like, is she his mother or his wife? Especially at that bar scene trying to drag him out. I'm like, sis, what are we doing? We get gossamer thin reasonings behind Dallas' behavior. Okay. That night he was drunk talking about he killed his daddy. He said that, why are you with me? I ain't shit. I ain't no good. But I'm like, I need to know more information because it's like, what do you mean you killed your daddy? And then like, what is his birth order? I need to know actually.
Right. Like,
Like,
why you? Why not one of your older brothers?
exactly. Like, but of course, he wakes up the next day, denies everything. We are introduced to Nora, which is a lifelong friend of Ava. And I think it's really poignant. I think the quote that stuck out to me was like, you're either rescuing cats or niggas, right? She was definitely giving me the Medea vibe out of the character setup. I feel like Tyler Perry always needs that particular outlet for humor slash wisdom in his films. What do you think?
Yeah, I could definitely see that. She didn't get as violent as Medea, which kind of wish she would have pulled out some
Girl.
type of weapon at some point in time. But yeah, I mean, I think there's always I think Tyler Perry was surrounded by strong black women in his life. So I think he definitely keeps that going in his films, just like he has always has to have a black knight, which I don't know if that's reality for any situations he's found himself in, but it's always interesting. Just when you're going through the worst of the worst in life, here comes this man to the rescue.
Yeah, this good man.
Yeah,
He's a
black
good
knight.
man.
I don't say white knight, black
Savannah.
knight. Yeah, her
Yes.
mama was tripping. So everybody love to use that, but her mama was tripping.
Wait, Ashley, I was like, why do people quote it so much? Because I feel like it's used out of context all the
It
time.
is. It is. Her mama was wrong. We
Yes, she
recap Waiting to
was.
Exhale, guys. Go back and listen to that recap. Her mama was trying to get her to be with a married man
Exactly.
just so she wouldn't be alone.
Exactly. Woo. Girl, they go out to dinner and he leaves her. She said, I'll be ready in 30 minutes. He didn't even wait. And we spoke to this earlier. He has his big monologue talking about black women ain't shit. And he says that he wants a divorce. It's the publicly embarrassing her. But my real question to you, Ashley, is who is Tyler Perry's audience? Because there are certain parts of this script that I'm like, he knew this was going to needle black women like nobody's business. You know what I mean?
It didn't bother me at all. I didn't give two shits what any character in this film had to say about anything. This is not poetry. This is not life lessons. This is not art, in my opinion. So I did not take any of this seriously. What I was thinking is, why are y'all sitting here while this man is yelling? I would have got up so fast and be like, all right, I'm gonna see y'all later. Get the fuck out of here. You're not about to embarrass me as a bystander, too. Like, if I'm the friends, first of all, his friend was an enabler, too. The one chick's husband, whatever he
Jim,
was,
absolutely.
like, you're not a good guy, Jim. You're not. You're not a good
He's
guy.
not.
No.
If this is the company that you keep, I don't trust you.
At all. At all.
I don't trust you.
I would have got up so fast. Like, all right, y'all have a good night. Because no, that's not. And the fact that he had no problem constantly doing, like, he does it in multiple points of this film. How has he not been arrested yet?
Yes, exactly.
Why is no
exactly?
And he be doing it in front of all these white people, and ain't nobody called the cops on his ass? Get out of here.
I mean, he does come off as unhinged.
Even more reason to be calling
no
the
one
cops.
Wanted that smoke.
Yeah, right.
Possibly.
Girl, a manager in the back would have been dialing 911 after his second word. Ain't no way.
True. That's true. But speaking of things that Mr. Perry wrote, talking about, especially through Ava's dialogue, her crying to her friend, talking about who's gonna want me? I gave him the best years of my life. He said nobody's gonna want 40-year-old pussy. I cannot.
He's tired. Tyler's tired.
Who is his audience?
He's tired.
Who is he speaking to?
He's tired. He's used up the words. Because acrimony was fantastic in terms of this regret, right? Like, oh, this relationship isn't going the way I think it should.
The ending was horrific.
It was horrific. Okay. Horrific. But the actual, first of all, Taraji, but also even the storyline was really, really good there.
And interesting.
Yes.
It was
in the context of, like, a significantly flawed relationship and dynamic. And Tyler's just tired. He has to be, because I don't know what this is.
Speaking of being tired, did you see what Lonnie Love said about what he needed to do?
No.
Okay, so Screen Rant has Tyler Perry's newest Prime Video drama, Divorce in the Black, nabs a shocking and exceedingly rare 0% score on the Rotten Tomatoes mometer. She's like, I love that Tyler is paying Black actors. Now I wish he would hire Black writers and directors that have experience to help him with his movies.
Oh, I
He
did
could
see that
improve,
headline. Yeah.
he could improve the movies and make them award worthy if he would stop trying to save money by doing all the writing and directing himself.
Yeah.
And we also have to realize he runs his movies like soap operas do. Like Corey, I watched several of his interviews. He said this is the most he ever got paid for 3 weeks worth of work. So they are doing this at lightning speed.
Yes. That's why I said he skimps on everything else except for budget for the actor's salary. Clearly.
Well, Ava is on her journey of self discovery and healing. She goes to her parents. Her parents are
Can I say something
there
real
to,
quick? Just real
sure.
quick.
Mm-hmm.
Does Tyler think this is art? I'm curious.
It takes
Like,
guts to release this to the world.
I'm
I think
genuinely curious. I feel like there was a point in time in his creative life when he was going from plays to big budget productions like Diary of a Mad Black Woman. It felt like there was such care.
oh my goodness. And we saw there was a moment in time of his, trajectory where you saw the care and you saw improvements in his work, right? Because we talking
Family
about
that
how we
prays.
love Why Do I Get Married? Like that's one of our favorite movies of his, right?
The family that
Um
prays is
the Family That
top
Prays,
notch.
exactly. Top notch. I hate this enough for a long time, okay?
Only time I've ever rooted for a woman to get smacked. And I still feel bad about
Ever.
that to this day.
And I didn't know I needed a friendship between Kathy Bates and
Alfred Woodard.
Alfred Woodard. You know what I mean? So yeah, what happened?
That's what I'm saying. Is he overworked? Is he stretching himself too thin between his
Because he has multiple
projects?
shows. He has comedies, he has dramas, he has, I mean, in addition to the movies he produces, just from a business perspective, and we talked about this also, obviously, we're talking about succession planning. We are happy and we celebrate that he has been able to build his own studios, right? But if everything is literally on his back, who's going to take care of things when he's not cranking out, 25 episodes in 3 movies a year? You know what I mean? It's more than 25 episodes. That's just one of his shows, right? Like,
Yep. He has
he's
at least
working.
2 on BET. The Oval and Sisters, I think, still
Yep.
are on that network, and then he still has to
The
deal with
Pains
TBS. Yeah,
on
TBS,
TBS. Yep.
TNT, Turner. I should say just Turner in general. And now Amazon and Netflix, and
Netflix.
so yeah, he may just be stretched a little bit too thin. And if this is going to be the output, then I think I'm gonna have to stop watching.
I know.
Sorry.
Whew. One of the things I think is interesting, you kind of brought this up, him growing up around Black women. There is a bit of old school situation I feel like he brings to his films. Her friend Nora keeping score of all the things that Dallas has done to her. Her mom discovers it and talks about how she's so sorry for not loving her and telling her that she's proud and letting her think that her situation was salvageable when in fact it was not.
Eve's Bayou reunion between those two actresses.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm curious to think what your thoughts are between that mother-daughter dynamic.
That was an
see
emotional moment in the film. I felt that pain of like your child suffering and you realizing that the real extent, like I know that they knew that Dallas obviously was not a good person and they had witnessed a lot of things, but hitting her, spitting on her, degrading her, that would have to be extremely tough as a parent. And I always talk to friends of mine who are parents, and I always say that I feel like one of the hardest things has to be when they reach an age where you no longer have any control over their lives because you're so used to having at least a hand in steering them. And when that's just gone, like, what do you do if they're not living the life that you envision for them? And that has to be really hard. But not only not living life you envision, but then suffering abuse is another layer. So I felt it. And I thought that was a really emotional and real scene that was depicted there.
I agree. It's just really interesting because her parents were pretty much like, you weren't raised in that space. So, we tried to live by examples, but I'm sorry that you went through that. But I thought it was kind of counterproductive when she was like, oh, don't show this to your daddy. He gonna kill him. I'm like, are we still keeping secrets? Like, how healthy is this? And I'm like, such a Southern way of doing things.
For him to be a pastor and man of God as well. You just gonna take somebody out this
Exactly.
world?
Exactly. Her parents were not so subtle in them wanting her to be with Benji, but she was resisting it. I mean, I'm not saying that I expected her to like jump into Benji's arms right away, but I was surprised on how strongly she resisted him.
I wasn't at all, because I'm like,
No,
this is fresh. Like, can my girl take a breather, take a
true.
breath to have her own like emotional healing after this? Like, she's in the process of trying to get a divorce. She don't need to be immediately attached to another man out the
True.
gate. Like, give her some
Right.
time. Give her some time.
But he was like ready and willing though. He was just like,
He clearly
okay.
has still had probably feelings for her to some capacity, even with him being married and divorced himself and all of that. You could tell there were still some lingering feelings or whatever. But Benji didn't do nothing for me. So this is another point of the film that I'm
Oh
like,
my
okay,
gosh. Oh,
all
he was a
right,
solid man, nice and tall, broad shoulders.
sure. Y'all can have him.
It was the hair for me. Maybe he needed a cleaner lineup, but he was a country boy. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know.
He just didn't do it for me. The actor did a lovely job. He just didn't do it for me. So I'm like, okay.
Well, that was another thing too. Tyler Perry writing romance yet again, and having sexy times in his movies is just like this is coming from a man who once told Oprah that he used to take showers immediately after having sex because he wasn't like married or something. Like it doesn't feel fluid, right? It doesn't feel.
I mean, he was also the abusive sexual trauma as a child. So I think that
That's true.
I think
But he
it
did
can
it
be
out of
complicated.
religious obligations when he had that
Yeah, no,
conversation.
no. I
I'm
understand
referring
from what you're
to.
saying.
Yeah.
I just think there may be complications
Yeah, and
in some
levels.
things. Yeah,
True.
but
True.
regardless, I have a weird thing with sex scenes anyway. It always feels really intimate and weird to watch people seem like they're trying to get it on in these shows. This was no exception. I really didn't sit through this one. But mea culpa, that paint, that was a
You
scene.
oh
I mean,
no.
that was,
No.
yeah, that was still, I mean, yeah, that was fire. But, but you know,
Oh, but to be fair, they didn't have he didn't get into those draws until the divorce papers were final.
sure, sure, sure.
And what I thought was interesting was Ava came back refreshed and Dallas was minding his own business, but his demon family apparently showed
His demon family. Yeah.
pictures from the fair. And all of a sudden he has in his mind that she has been cheating on him all along. Ashley, did you understand Dallas's motivations? Because for me, that was also very thin. That he insisted on her showing up getting divorced, but the day after he shows up in the house, talking about this is my house. We gonna get back together, but you've been cheating on me. Like it didn't make any sense for me, Ashley.
I don't throw around the word crazy loosely, but he's crazy. I mean, I think he was very mentally unstable. I think he's unhinged. I think his family and the dynamics of his family and the things that he's had to do under his mother's control and guidance and his brothers had fucked him up. Like, I just don't think he's like a stable, okay person. When I was watching the movie, I kept being like, this type of person is very dangerous.
Very.
You know, like
Honestly,
he's
his
just
behavior
popping
could
up
have
all the
made
time.
her lose her job. The way he was
Made
showing
her
up
lose
and
her
yelling.
life. She kept talking about, oh, I'm not afraid of him.
Yeah.
I'm like, girl,
Oh
what?
my goodness. When she was telling Nora that, I was like, I don't trust your judgment,
At
Ava.
all.
Okay. So I'm like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. And then I thought she was acting all big and bad now, right? But she let this man go upstairs while Benji is sleeping peacefully in her bed. I'm like, that was rude. She should have been like, Benji, he's coming or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. When she
He
dragged
got
him down
jumped
the
out of
steps and
sleep.
stuff, when
That's
she dragged him
awful.
down the steps, though, I was like, this is that rage strength. Because how you dragging this grown man through the house like this dead weight, and you just dragging him through the house?
Truly unbelievable, because I highly doubt anything like that would have happened. And I'm like, girl, change your effing locks.
She said she
You
did
got
change the
divorced.
locks. She said she did change the locks. So I still don't know how he allegedly got in. She said she did change the locks. She said, how'd you get in here? I changed all the locks.
Oh my goodness. Well, I like to call this part of the movie a series of unfortunate events. And it's Dallas running rampant, with her friends and family and community. He killed Benji's animals. He roughed up her mama at the grocery store.
Now that white girl need to get fired, because why was she just standing there? You better go call somebody.
It's a scary black man, Ashley. They don't know what to do. Her father confronts Dallas and his family. I call it the Lion's Den, in front of their family trailer, and manages to get shot and beat up in the process.
I don't know what he was thinking.
Sir, by yourself. I understand your bravado, and yes, nobody touches your wife. Yes, but no, not by yourself.
Right.
They crazy. What did you think about their performances overall? So you talked about how you felt like Corey's depiction was unbelievable, but what did you think about everyone else? Because I thought it was hilarious how, shout out Miss Debbie, the way she was screaming and yelling was a lot too, from the funeral to that grocery scene. I was cracking up like, who you talking to? Because in addition to the performances, what made this movie bad though? Was it the acting, directing, or the writing for you?
All of the above. The acting was the least bad part. The acting, had they had a better script, would have been probably good, actually. But it is all of the above, because everything felt so over the top for the most part. Yes. The only palatable, more of the stars was Megan Good's acting, just because she was a more docile character, right? Otherwise, it just, everything felt too much. But with Dallas's family, his mother, I fully believed her. Like that performance, I was like, oh, you are
this person. She reminded me of Eveline from The Wiz, right? Don't bring me no bad news. Shout out to everybody who get that reference.
Yeah, she embodied that character, maybe just because I haven't seen her in anything else.
I've never seen her, but yeah, I agree.
This is you.
I agree.
For sure.
I agree with you when it comes to the acting being the least. I think writing obviously is number one, but I do think when it comes to the direction, I feel like he's telling these people to be over the top. You know what I mean? And they are doing, because I say this because we know Debbie Morgan has the range, right? Like if you want a subtle performance out of her, you will get one. But obviously they were going for broke. In Corey's interview with the Breakfast Club, he talked about how the most difficult he had in this role was roughing up Megan and Debbie. So the movie concludes. She finally decided, you know what? It's my fault. He is in my family and friends' lives. It's going to be me to handle this. She thought it was a bright idea to not tell people where she was and to lure him to her. And he proceeds to beat her up, and she shoots him. Ashley, what are your final thoughts for Divorce in the Black?
I didn't know what her game plan was with this. I was like, is this going to be like enough? And she has some type of self-defense skills we don't know about in this movie.
Yeah.
That gun also didn't have enough kickback for me. That was a shotgun that she shot this man with, but details. She at the end, when she said you should be careful pushing good people too far and all this and that, there was a moral dynamic in this story that I can't say that I fully agreed with. I know that there was like bad behavior and trauma that went on with Dallas's family, but I think it was so easy to just paint them as the villains without really knowing the depth of what their family had gone through to make them who they were. And I think we try to use the veil of like, oh, these are religious people who go to church and pretend like they have the moral high ground. Again, I don't agree with her daddy talking shit about that man at his own funeral like that.
Right.
So that whole like moral dilemma, I can't say that I saw that as like an honest theme in this movie, but for sure I was worried at the end that like, yo, they gonna retaliate, you know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna become a war amongst the family, because ain't no way his mama's just gonna let this go. So, but no need for a sequel, thank you very much, we're done. So overall, like I said, this was one that I will never revisit. I'm so sorry.
You said never.
Never ever. And I'm curious to see if Tyler Perry decides to take a break after this, because again, if this is what the output is about to be moving forward, I'm not gonna sit through this garbage, because this movie was hot garbage.
It was bad. Like I was cringing at one point. Like, I don't know if I can finish this. Why did
I literally said, I don't know why Delora want to do this movie. This is, girl.
Well, because
bad.
At the end of the day, people talk about Tyler Perry movies. At the end of the day, people talk about his movies, and especially for the culture. So again, Corey was stopped by TMZ and they asked him about the 0 rating. He was like, oh man, that's fake news. He's like, I love Tyler Perry. I hope to work with him again. He's like, this is for the people. This is for the culture.
It's for his money. It's for his wallet if he made good money. What you talking about? I did see some people in comments on Shade Room talking about they really enjoyed it. They were like, is it just me? Girl, I really enjoyed this movie. It is just y'all.
I have seen those people and I was like, how on this green earth did you find enjoyment out of this? Because if Megan Good blinked one more time, I was like, sis, this
it's just y'all on this one.
Oh, well, this was entertaining, Ashley. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Time for hidden gems.
So about that, y'all, I know I've watched some things, but I could not recall anything. I could not recall anything at the moment to list as a hidden gem. So let me come back to y'all next week and try to remember some things that I've seen that I think would be good recommendations for some content. Because I know I've watched something. I've struggled this week with my mind.
Girl, you've been busy. So, it's okay.
Yeah, my apologies. What you got,
in
Delora?
The groove.
Yeah.
I have one book that I'm adding to this recommendation. Did I enjoy it? So on Goodreads, I gave it like 3 stars out of 5. I legit put in my review, this read like a Tyler Perry film. It's called Courage to Love Again, and this is by Kimberly Brown. It wasn't awful, but it was giving melodramatic moments. Like, this young woman married a doctor. There was a major age gap. She felt loved and taken care of, but she couldn't give him a child. And so one day he kicked her out and brought home his girlfriend who was pregnant. So, drama. And then she finds love with a kind stranger. And it's giving the Black Knight trope that you refer to for Tyler Perry's characters. And then there was an ending. So, if you liked Divorce in the Black, first of all, have you even heard that expression before, Ashley?
Never.
I'm gonna get divorced in the black. What?
Maybe because she works in finance, so it was a finance.
But they didn't even bring that to the forefront enough for it to like resonate. At least for me, it did not. But correct. That's a great assumption, Ashley. Thank you. That's why we're here, y'all. We're here to talk through. Our feelings on the art through movie and TV and sometimes music.
What's funny is if he thought like when he wrote it, aha, this makes so much sense.
You know he did. The same way he named Mia Copa. He thought he did something with that.
Yep. All right. Well, guys, That is it. That is all for today. We appreciate y'all for listening to this episode. Let us know what y'all think about Divorce in the Black.
Love to know.
Please.
Would love to know. Thank you.
For those of y'all who loved it, please drop it in the comments. I want to know why. Okay? List it out for me. All right. And so please share this episode with everybody you know. We'll be back. In the meantime, as always, be blessed.
Bye.